The house was quiet, except for the hum of the baby monitor on the kitchen counter. I had come home early from work, hoping to surprise my wife, Emily, with dinner. I wasn't the kind of man who believed in grand gestures, but I figured after 3 kids and a decade of marriage, small things mattered. But as I stepped inside, something stopped me in my tracks. Her voice, not the soft, sweet tone she usually used when speaking to me. This one was different, lower, almost hushed, but urgent. I followed the sound to the dining room, where she sat with her phone pressed to her ear. She hadn't heard me come in. I should have made my presence known. I should have walked in, kissed her on the forehead, and gone about my evening. But then I heard her say something that made my blood run cold. "No, Mom, he still has no idea. Can you believe it?" A short laugh. 3 kids, and he thinks they're his. I froze. My fingers tightened around the grocery bag in my hand, plastic crinkling under my grip. I know, she continued, voice dripping with amusement. I want to tell him so many times, but what's the point? He's been raising them this long. It's not like he'd just leave now. A sharp, cruel chuckle. Besides, if he ever found out, I doubt he'd even know what to do with himself. He's so soft, Mom. He wouldn't dare walk away from us. The bag slipped from my fingers, hitting the floor with a dull thud. An apple rolled out, stopping near the chair leg. Silence. Then, her sharp inhale. The scrape of the chair as she shot to her feet. I stepped forward, slow and deliberate, until she turned and met my gaze. Her eyes widened, face draining of color. I didn't say a word, didn't yell, didn't demand answers. I just stared, because in that moment, I realized something. The woman I had built my life around, the mother of my children, the person I had trusted above all else, had never been mine to begin with. And neither were the kids I had dedicated my life to. I let the silence stretch, watching her swallow hard, watching panic creep in her expression. Finally, I turned on my heel and walked away. Not out of weakness, not because I was lost, but because I knew exactly what I had to do, and she would never see it coming. I walked upstairs, my movements controlled, deliberate. My heart was pounding, but my face was blank. I wouldn't give Emily the satisfaction of seeing me explode. No, I was past anger. What I felt now was something colder, something final. Behind me, I heard her rushing up the stairs. Wait, you heard wrong. I was just talking nonsense. You know how my mom gets. Her voice was shrill, desperate. I said nothing. I stepped into our bedroom and closed the door behind me. Locked it. Then I stood there, breathing. I glanced around the room we had shared for years. The bed where I had held her close, where I had whispered dreams of our future. The framed photos of our family. A life built on lies. My mind moved quickly, piecing together what I had to do. First, I packed a small bag, just enough to make my departure quiet. My passport, my laptop, enough cash to get by for a while. I wouldn't be gone forever. I wasn't running away. I was preparing for war. There was a knock, then another. Honey, please, open the door. No, she didn't get to call me that anymore. I exhaled slowly, pulled out my phone, and began typing. A message, not to her, but to someone who could actually give me answers. A man named Daniel Ward, private investigator, the best in the city. If my children weren't mine, I needed proof. DNA tests, timelines. I needed to know who the real father, or fathers, were. I had sinned. A deep sense of satisfaction filled my chest. She had lied to me for years, stolen my choices from me. But now, I was taking everything back. I finally unlocked the door. She was standing there, tears pooling in her eyes, her hands wringing together. Please just talk to me. I stared at her for a long moment. Then, in a voice colder than I had ever used before, I said, I need space. Don't follow me. And with that, I walked past her, down the stairs, out the door, into the night. She thought she knew me. She had no idea what I was capable of. The night air hit my face as I stepped outside. It was colder than I expected, Or maybe that was just the rage inside me freezing everything else out. I got in my car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles went white. I had never left my home like this before, never walked out on my family. But now, what family? I pulled into a quiet parking lot and killed the engine. My phone buzzed. Daniel Ward. I can start immediately. Want me to be discreet? I stared at the screen, my pulse thudding. No. Let her feel it. Let her feel the walls closing in. Let her wonder what I knew, what I was doing, what would happen next. I could already imagine the panic in her chest. The way she would sit by her phone, waiting for me to call. The way she would pace the house, checking if I had left more than just a bag. If I had left her for good. The truth was, I didn't know yet. What I did know was that by the time I was done, Emily would regret every single lie she had ever told me. 2 days passed. 2 days of silence. I ignored her calls, ignored the texts, let her suffer in uncertainty. Then, Daniel sent the results. I opened the file, and my stomach twisted. None of the kids were mine. Not one. I had spent over a decade raising someone else's children, loving them, protecting them, all while she laughed behind my back. I gripped my phone so tightly I thought it might crack, but I wasn't going to break. No, that was Emily's job. I called Daniel. Find the father. A pause. Then, you sure? This might get ugly. I want every single detail. I didn't care if it got ugly. It was already ugly. That night, I went back home. I didn't sneak in. I didn't try to be quiet. I wanted her to hear me coming. Emily was in the living room, curled up on the couch, phone in hand. She jolted when she saw me, eyes red, hair a mess. She had been crying. Good. You're back. She breathed, like she couldn't believe it. I shut the door behind me and pocketed my keys. I know, I said. Her face went pale. You know what? I stepped closer, staring her down, watching the way she shrank under my gaze. That they're not mine. Her whole body trembled. She was caught. For the first time in her life, Emily had no way out. The silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. I watched as Emily's lips parted, but no words came out. Her hands gripped the edge of the couch like she was holding on for dear life. She knew. She knew her world was about to collapse. What are you talking about? She stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. I laughed. Not because it was funny. There was nothing funny about this. But because the audacity of it all, the sheer nerve, it was unbelievable. Don't, I said coldly. Don't insult me with more lies, Emily. I know. She shook her head, but her hands were shaking. Baby, listen. Don't you dare call me that. Her mouth snapped shut. Good. I pulled out my phone, tapped the screen, and turned it around so she could see it. The DNA results. The undeniable proof. I watched the color drain from her face. She swallowed hard. You tested them. Of course I did, I said, stepping closer. And guess what? Not one of them is mine. Not one. Her breaths turned ragged. I could see her mind racing, scrambling for a way out. But there wasn't one. I can explain, she whispered. That almost set me off. I clenched my fists and exhaled slowly, forcing myself to stay in control. No, Emily, you can't. There's nothing to explain. There are only facts. You lied. You betrayed me. You let me believe those kids were mine, and you stole over 10 years of my life. She flinched at every word, but I didn't care. Her eyes filled with tears. But you loved them. That was the worst part. The cruelest cut of all. Because she was right. I did. I had tucked them in at night, kissed their scraped knees, sat through every school play, every sleepless fever, every nightmare. I had loved them as my own. And now, I didn't know what to do. I turned away, running a hand through my hair. Ooh, Emily froze. Wow, what? I spun back around, rage boiling beneath my skin. Who is their father, Emily? Tears spilled down her cheeks, and she wrapped her arms around herself like that could somehow protect her. She shook her head. It's complicated. I barked out a laugh. Complicated? Try me. She sobbed. It's not just one person. My stomach dropped. Excuse me. My voice was dangerously quiet. Emily crumpled into herself. It was a few people. Over the years. I don't know which one. I didn't hear the rest. I couldn't. Something inside me snapped. I turned on my heel, grabbed my bag, and walked straight to the door. Wait, Emily cried, scrambling after me. Please, we can work through this. I stopped, my hand on the doorknob. Slowly, I turned my head to look at her one last time. Her face was red, her cheeks streaked with tears, desperation written in every inch of her. I took out my phone, tapped a message, and hit send. Her phone dinged. She hesitated before checking it, and when she did, she collapsed right there on the floor. Her wail echoed through the house as I finally walked out. I didn't look back. I never would. I didn't drive off immediately. I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel, staring at the house I had once called home, the place I built, the life I built, and now it was nothing but a lie. Through the windshield, I could see Emily through the open doorway, curled up on the floor, her phone clutched in her trembling hands. She was still staring at the message, the one I had just sent, the one that read, "Check the group chat." And that's when she realized I didn't just send it to her. I sent it to her parents, her siblings, her closest friends, her co-workers, everyone. I wanted them all to know what she had done. Every single person in her life now had screenshots of the DNA results, a brief explanation of her decade-long deception, and a simple closing statement. This is who Emily really is. I saw her fingers fly over the screen. Maybe she was begging them to ignore it. Maybe she was trying to control the damage. Too late. My phone started buzzing almost immediately. Calls from mutual friends, messages from her mother, unread notifications piling up. But I didn't answer. I just watched as Emily let out a scream of frustration, throwing her phone across the room. Watched as she yanked at her hair, pure panic setting in. Watched as her entire world crumbled around her. And then, I drove away. The next few days were chaos. Emily tried calling me. I never picked up. She left voicemails, each one more desperate than the last. I never listened. And then, the real damage started. I got a text from a mutual friend. Dude, Emily's parents disowned her. I read it twice, then chuckled. She must have run to them to cover her guilt. I'm sure even her mother couldn't take the shame and disgrace. Then came another text. Her job found out. HR is involved. I raised an eyebrow at that one. Turns out, one of her affairs had been with a colleague. And guess what? Office relationships weren't exactly encouraged. By the end of the week, she was fired. It was about a week later when she finally got to me in person. I was coming out of a coffee shop when she appeared, looking wrecked, dark circles under her eyes, hair a mess, her usual confidence gone. She stepped in front of me, blocking my path. Please. I stared at her, said nothing. Tears welled up in her eyes. I know, I messed up. I know I lied. But the kids, her voice cracked. They need you. That part hurt, more than I wanted to admit. But I stood firm. They're not mine, Emily. Her face crumbled. But they love you. I clenched my jaw. That was the cruelest part of all. Because I love them too. But she had taken that choice away from me. I won't abandon them. I said finally. I'll make sure they have what they need. But you? We're done. Her lip trembled. I miss you. I exhaled sharply. You miss the man who took care of everything. The man who gave you stability. The man you betrayed. She sobbed. I made a mistake. I tilted my head. No, Emily. You made dozens. Over years. And now, you're finally paying for them. She reached for me, but I stepped back. This is what consequences feel like, I said. Live with it. And with that, I walked away. This time, I never looked back.